To all the audio enthusiasts out there who are trying to upgrade their systems and looking for good recorders to use, you know I recommend the Tascam DR10L. But what are the settings I use for that recorder? Happy Friday to you. My name's Oliver, and if you're new to this channel, I like to talk about audio for video, as well as filmmaking in general. And if any of that interests you at all, hit subscribe. Join the family as we grow together in 2018 and into the next year, because it's almost fall. It is fall, actually. This video was supposed to be posted on Friday, but it's not. So what are the settings I use with the Tascam DR10L? Jumping right into it. When you get your recorder, the first thing you should do is check out the settings. So in this, the way to go to settings is hit menu. Very first setting is mic gain. Hit enter. I keep my mic gain at medium low. Sometimes I go to medium if it's a very quiet subject, but medium low for me seems to be the sweet spot. From not doing the auto levels BS that I really don't like, but also not getting too high or too low of audio when I'm doing dialogue recording in the field. Next, low cut filter, I always keep it off. After that, the limiter, I keep the limiter on at all times in case there's some peaking. Gentle peaking may get caught by this recorder and that limiter and pull it back a little so you don't get that clipping. But of course, if you really blow the thing out, it's not gonna be any good at all for you. Auto levels, obviously, I keep that off. I hate the way they sound. I don't think they're very intuitive. They're just bad on this recorder. Now, sample rate, FS sample here, I keep at 48 kilohertz. That is just a higher sample rate. More data to work with in post-production. Up from there, we go to bit length. I keep it at 24-bit. More data to work with in post-production yet again. If you want to know the difference between sample rate and bit depth, go check out my video, Sample Rate versus Bit Depth Explained, from earlier this year. From there, file type, mono or poly. Now what this is asking is, what do you want the final package of the file to be? Just a mono file or a stereo file or a poly wave? Theoretically, this can record up to 2 tracks of audio if you have a stereo mic coming in the microphone input jack. In that case, you would need to select poly so that you can get both those tracks onto one piece of audio. The downside to recording poly on the DR10L is you lose your backup record. We'll get there in just a minute. But for the most part, if you just use the mic included with it or buy a different mic like this Rode mic or the Countryman B3 or something like that, you will want to keep it mono. So no worries there. Poly wave files are something that are more important and high level if you use a bigger recorder. So for this, it's basically mono or stereo. And if you don't have a stereo mic, there's no reason to record stereo recording. So bypassing that, dual record, this is what I just talked about. I always keep this on, and the reason is, at all times, it is recording a backup track 6 decibels below what the main signal is. And that's so important in case you do peak out on your main channel. What it'll give you is 6 decibels quieter below it. And hopefully that'll give you a reserve recording, sync those up in post, and if you have clipping issues, check the backup, and if you don't, then you're good to go. It'll save you when you're throwing this on somebody and you cannot monitor it, so big. Track Inc, number 9 on the menu. This is increment track splitting. And what this means is every 15 minutes, it will split your track and start a new one, even though it's a continuous recording. I think this is used for sync drift issues, so you'll never have an audio file longer than 15 minutes of actual recording. It'll split them up into a bunch of succinct tracks that are stackable and syncable. Not stackable, but they come back together in post-production. It will be one seamless recording, but you can mess with them individually if you need that. I always keep that off. No need for that for me. Warn beeps, so I turn the warning beeps off, obviously. Power save mode, I always keep on. What is power save mode for the DR10L? It is simply when the recorder is not recording and just sitting around, it will eventually turn itself off and save power. That's great if you're an airhead like me. File name type, that's where you can choose. You want to name it intuitively, you want to name it based on the date. I always keep that on date. File name, you can choose the actual format and what it looks like. Format SD, obviously that's what you use to format the SD. Pretty self-explanatory. Now mic bias, this you would only turn off if you had a self-powered lavalier microphone or any other microphone coming into this. So let me give you an example. Before, I have plugged in the Rode VideoMic Pro into the Tascam DR10L, and I had to turn off the mic bias, which is basically just mic power, 2 volts of mic power coming out of this thing, because the Rode VideoMic Pro is self-powered. So it was just a passive recorder at that standpoint. It didn't need to go through and phantomly power the mic. But mic bias means 2 volts of power to power the mic, yay or nay. This one needs it, that one needs it. The ones that come with the DR10L need it. Mic bias on. Battery type, what kind of battery? What kind of AAA do you have in there? An alkaline, a nickel metal hydride, a lithium battery? Date and time, that's where you set the date and time. System initiation. Initialize, nuke the thing, get it back to factory, and then you can look at the info from there, and then you're back around the horn. Now, here is a really important trick if you've made it this far. Do you ever wonder with your DR10L, why can't I see how much time's remaining? Hold it up, hold the menu button, and it'll say remaining time on the SD card. That's phenomenal. I didn't know that for the first year of having this, but I do now, and hopefully you do too. Those are Oliver J. Hughes' settings for the Tascam DR10L. Thank you for watching. Please do subscribe. I'd love to grow with you as we grow together towards 100,000, which was my initial goal at the beginning of the year. We're almost there. Only 96,025 subscribers to 100K. I think that's pretty damn close. I just thought about setting an outrageous goal. I love that stuff. Okay, see you next week.